Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April edition of Rotary E-Club of Southeast USA and Caribbean Zoom meeting. This is the wonderful time of year where we get to enjoy the wonderful meeting with our district governor. And this year it's Troy Willingham. And hi, Troy. And anyway, like I said, before we start recording, we might have some other members join us. That's fine. Troy's going to give us a little bit of talk, a little bit of a story, but he's really going to encourage everybody to ask him questions. And so we can get more of an interaction between the district and our club. So without further ado, and what is an ado, Troy, floor is yours.
Okay, so, well, I'm Troy. I get to be district governor this year. Some of you all have been district governors before. Vernon, who you know, is the assistant governor, and he keeps everything in line for me and for a lot of people, for that matter. And I'm just real appreciative to have him on the team. He was club president when I was assistant governor for the area around him at his club. And he just ran just such a great meeting with his people. And so I'm really glad that he's part of the team for this year too. One of the things that, the governor or whatever is supposed to do is to have a club visit at each and every club and to get to know the clubs better. And then one of the things I want to do is to pass some of this information along to Chris Casella, who's going to be governor in July 1st, and say, Chris, here's what I'm seeing, so that he can figure out things that could be synergistic to what you're trying to do as a club, and work that into, so we get a little bit better and a little bit better every year. And one of the problems is they don't really talk about, when you're the district governor, what that speech is supposed to look like. And I remember the first one I went to, I just didn't like it. I'd written it down. It was all the words were on a sheet of paper, and I did all my thing. And I was driving back home. And for those of you that know me, coffee is my drug of choice. So I got a big cup of Starbucks. I walk into Starbucks, and the guy behind the counter, I've always got a Rotary shirt on when I'm going to these meetings, and he says something, Rotary. And he had a cool accent. I know Rotary. And I'm thinking, who is this guy? And what am I going to tell him about Rotary in that much time, in all 30 seconds time? Because in a moment, he's going to hand me coffee. There's 4 people behind me who really want to drink their coffee. They don't want me to slow down. And so I step over to the one side. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what one thing can I tell this guy about Rotary that might make him interested in Rotary? And for people our age, I don't think we remember polio all that much. Although my dad was a Rotarian before me. He was president in the 80s or thereabouts. And he remembers when polio was declared eradicated in the United States. And I thought, this guy's a young guy. He probably won't remember. And I don't have time to tell him how important that was, that Rotary got on the bandwagon right away and really, alleviated a lot of fear, a lot of disease, a lot of being crippled, a lot of death. If you ever talk to Alan Collins, who also lives in our area here in St. Pete, he is a polio survivor, and he lost cousins to polio when he was a child. It would run through I think it was in the summer, maybe it was winter. There was a season, and it would just run through and kill people or cripple them or make them all kinds of ill. And but I can't, obviously I don't have but a few moments to try to explain Rotary to this guy. And I don't know how many of you all know that we have 2 international scholars right now. Abby is over in Cape Town, South Africa, and there's another young man who's in, I don't know if Vernon, you remember, I think he's in the Middle East. The Newport Richie Club is sponsoring him, and he's over there. Just really smart people. And the Rotary Foundation has these scholarships set up, and so these people are over there just making a difference in this world. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that, because he had a cool accent, maybe that would be something I could tell him. And I thought, maybe that's too complicated still. Like, I got to think Mark Middleton, who's up in Dunedin area. he'll be an assistant governor starting July 1st as well, just got back from Honduras. And a whole crowd of people got together. They put some money together. Again, they paired it with the Rotary Foundation, and they went over and dug a well in Honduras. And I was thinking maybe that would be the kind of story that would capture this guy, and he'd understand better what Rotary is doing. And so, this went on, thinking about all these projects that clubs do. I thought about you guys were working on something for Ukraine a while back, and then I'd like to hear what you're working on right now with that thing in Turkey more. And so, I'm over there, I'm waiting for the coffee. All the people are like, don't talk. I just need my coffee. And he walks over, and before I can say anything, he goes, Rotary. He goes, I know Rotary. He says, my best friends in the whole world are in my Rotary club. I don't know what I'd do without them. And I realized these projects and these, the processes and the foundation work and giving and hours and time and money and everything else is what we seem to be known for. But the real value, I believe, is the relationships we build. The third point there, the building better friendships, is, I think, pivotal what Rotary is all about. And my dad, he hadn't lived in town here in 20 years. And I still walk in the meeting, and some of the older guys in the club, hey, how's your dad? I'm thinking, you haven't seen him in 20 years. But the relationships they built in the club, the fundraisers that didn't go right, the ones that did go right, because a couple of them just bombed, but really built these kind of friendships that just don't go away. And what you guys are doing, both in a scattered geography, internationally, I think has the ability to create peace and understanding in the world better than a lot of the rest of us who, even flying to Honduras like Mark did, you can only do so much. And so I really commend what you guys are doing. You guys have huge amounts, in my mind, of potential as a club, and really looking forward to hearing more of what you're doing, what you're looking to do. And I don't know if I can come up with any ideas to add to what you're doing, but I feel like if we can add some synergy to what you're doing, you really have something that I think the rest of us need to be thinking about. Tell me, or either ask me a question or tell me about Turkey, because that sounded really interesting. Alicia, you told me a little smidge about that. I don't remember what you told me.
Well, it's basically, we're not committed to the project yet, but our club member, Alphonse Menenjo, who lives in Cameroon, Africa, he is a banker, and he travels to Turkey quite frequently, and he has friends in a Rotary Club there in Turkey. And they are looking at it. It's taken quite a while for this club to even get funds in. They had to get special permission to even get funds in to help the earthquake survivors.
Right.
And of course, now the earthquakes are past. The emergency itself, the immediacy is done, but they've got the okay to bring in outside funds, and I can send you more information that Alphonse has sent to me, but they are looking at other Rotary clubs pairing with them or joining with them to help excuse me, the extended relief efforts.
Okay.
So that is a project that we're looking at in the future. Even more immediate is a program that Malona has actually been working with, and we are going to have a Zoom meeting April 11th, which is a Tuesday, and it's going to be at like 10 in the morning. So we'll see, who can get on. Again, it'll be recorded. But Maloney, you want to give a little bit more information on that?
Sure. So basically, we are trying to kill two birds with one stone. So the first is we support literacy. And as such, we have implemented a program in a school in Benin, which is called Winning in the Game of Life. And this program is basically to help the kids become more resilient. So we see that we have more and more, kids going under depression and, issue at school. And we are also trying to target everything around peace. This program is basically helping this kid to really understand that they are a key player in their life. And whatever they do, their choice will bring them, into the right place or unfortunately into chaos. So we implement this program. It's an after-school program. And so far, we are getting really good feedback from the parents, from the schools, because we can see that kids not engaging at school, having misbehavior. After a couple of weeks during the program, they quickly understand, that by misbehaving, it will become an impediment. We quickly see better result at school. So at the same time, while doing that, we found out that those schools, they had a lack of infrastructure, so no toilet. So we have decided to build a latrine. So the project is now completed. The school had no water as well. So we also have now the water at the school, and we will do the inauguration on April 11th.
Wow. So you are changing the lives of each of the kids that come to that school, both appreciating literacy, and preventing a heck of a lot of disease. If you don't have clean water and decent sanitation, it's a long uphill climb from there to anything else. So I think you've and a certain degree, did I pick up on there was a certain degree of safety that you guys are working on too, because sometimes things are not as safe, like physically safe?
By safety, what do you mean?
Oh, sometimes there's violence in a city. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, those are kind of the foundations of for improvement. So you're building right at the foundation level from which they can build up. Correct.
And the company which is currently doing the work, they are planning to build a gymnasium because they say that unfortunately, there's a kid sometimes they have nothing to do. So they're just in the street, they don't know where to go. And they are working on a project. And I think they are starting a fundraising as well to be able to build a big gymnasium, allowing also the kid, to have sport activity and so.
Yeah, that'll help them interact with other kids, which
right.
leads to the ability to work in teams, which again is one of those things that will get them a lot further in life, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also mentioned that Melina has enough connections that she has got our club's Facebook page numbers way up. And it's like all of a sudden I would turn around and this person joined and this person liked the page, and I'm like, wow. So she's definitely spreading the word about Rotary and our club.
Good. Now, have you seen any translation from Facebook to visitors and visitors to members or anything, or is it right now they're just following you on Facebook?
It's pretty much following on Facebook. Most of our visitors right now are club members that can't, they're making up a meeting. Like Dick Schultz, he can't, he really can't get to his meetings anymore. And we're trying to say, well, Dick, you can join our club. It's fine. But he doesn't quite want to yet, but he visits our meeting thread almost on a weekly basis. So, hey, So, and we only charge, since we don't provide meals, we only charge $5 for a visitor. So it's, it's inexpensive. I hope that I'm making it informative enough with what I'm posting on the meeting threads. I could always use more input from members, but it's working. So we get visitors almost on a weekly basis, so that's cool. So Any other questions or comments you'd like to
I keep
aim
thinking,
at our-
I'm running over somebody else who's trying to ask a question because of the noise I'm hearing. No, maybe not. Maybe just Zoom is weird.
Well,
Zoom
it is. It fits us well. So
let me ask you a question about that club in Turkey. And I presume they already figured this out, that because of the earthquake there, I'm sure that they have applied for a disaster grant for something specific. Disaster grants don't require any seed money from the club.
yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I will know more particulars when we get back in touch with Alphonse.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
when you touch base with them, just see whether, because there may be an opportunity to just, if he can put some money directly to work in helping people,
mhm,
there may be an opportunity to, and I don't know a whole lot about it. We paired with a friend of mine's the governor up in the DC area, and
okay.
he did a relief grant for what's going on in Ukraine to all the refugees that were in Poland. And he said, hey, anybody can just jump in with me. I'll do all the heavy lifting on paperwork. And I just said, thank you. So that's, and maybe Will knows more about disaster grants than I do, but I just, I said, thank you to this guy, and just, tagged on to what he was doing. He did but well over $1 million of relief to the Ukrainian
Wow.
refugees. Yeah, just medicine and food and shelter. Just the basic, accepting them into some different facilities in Poland.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't really involving in it's not military aid by any means. It was just,
Right.
you're here, you're cold, you're hungry, and you need medicine. We got you. Kind of a thing. So, but yeah, the disaster grant might help those folks in Turkey. I'm sure they know that, but I just figured I better bring it up while I was at it.
Yeah, I will send you the information as I get it. But anyway, speaking of Ukraine, Bertie did an awesome job, with this. She is the fundraiser queen now for Rotary. She knows the connections. She knows the wording. Yeah, I think we wish we would have raised a lot more money. Especially even through our own district. We're not known, our club is not known for having fundraisers because we ask a bigger annual membership fee. And part of that is because we don't usually have fundraisers, but to have one, to be able to say, hey, the E-Club has a fundraiser and it's for a really good cause and it's for Ukraine. And we had, the money actually went through Punta Gorda, a Rotary Club in Punta Gorda, and then went to a Rotary Club in Poland. And we had a past president from that Rotary Club in Poland as a speaker a couple months ago. And it was really interesting to find out that a lot of the refugees from Ukraine were from families that at least one parent already worked in Poland.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was it. That was the engine. Not everybody, but quite a few of them, they already knew because these people, like the husband, already had a job in Poland. So that was interesting that they were able to help. The Rotary Club in Poland and other people in Poland were able to help Ukrainians because part of the family was already, they had the connections. Yeah.
Already had it figured out. Yeah.
Bertie, you want to, yeah, go ahead. Just need to unmute yourself. Bertie, unmute.
That's the most popular. That's the most popular line of 21 and 22. You're on mute.
Okay, so I'm relatively new in Rotary, and doing this project with the t-shirts was a learning experience. And meeting James Williams was an eye-opener. He's phenomenal for raising money. And he raised $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. That was without the t-shirts. And how he did it, he would go just go to these, taste of the town, because they live in Punta Gorda. It's a small community, but also in that area, there's a lot of Ukrainians in that area, as there are in some of the other areas south from here. But they would just go and have their Rotary sign and have a cup and some information about Ukraine. People would just throw the money in the cup. And that's how they got their money, and they raised a lot of money. I tried to do the t-shirt thing, and it really didn't work. I get most of the money. I think we got maybe 1,300, maybe 14, if that much. Most of it came from James's effort and his group and his community. So we weren't able to. I don't know what happened to our district, but nobody was buying. Just a few people in our club. And it was unfortunate because we have such a large district, and I don't know if anything, it's a learning experience. Is what was the glitch? And me being so new and young in the group, I just wasn't quite sure what I was doing wrong, but I think we could have done better, but we didn't. But it's a good learning experience. Again, James just goes and puts that cup out, and we got some cards and made it some cards, and he was handing out the cards for the shirts. So yeah, it was a good experience, but it didn't pan out the way I would hoped, because with all the people we have in our district, if everybody bought a shirt, we would have had thousands of dollars sent to us. I mean, a lot of money was sent for a simple $20 or $22 shirt. I mean, we would have had so much money going to Ukraine, and we knew where it was going. I went to a couple of the churches, but they already had their own direct mission and where they were sending their money. So they didn't want to connect with Rotary because they already had somebody they were sending their money to in their fundraising. So I may, even though it's not the Rotary, and we still have a lot of designs that we had bought, and I may hook up with one of the church members outside of the Rotary and just let them know we can set them up a web store, and we can do the same thing, and we can try to motivate and go somewhere else with the information, raise more money, but it won't be through Rotary Club, because we won't put the Rotary in the back of the shirt. And I think that's another thing, was a little bit of a problem. I don't know if it's a problem but it's required, because we were specifically, the E-Club and the Rotary from Ukraine, the Rotary Club from Punta Gorda, it had to be designated on the shirt. And so it kind of didn't give ownership, in my feeling, to other clubs. So I'm just thinking, if we had done this and somehow had every club on the back of it, every club's name on the back of it, maybe everybody else would say, my name's on there too, and they would have bought a shirt. Because I found that it's kind of territorial. And again, I'm new at this, and I'm not sure about the way people think, but it was a learning experience. So comments, Troy?
I know, thinking about how you didn't get as many sales as you wanted, it is hard to break through the squelch in, people get so much information and so much, it's really easy to just overlook an email or whatever. And for any organization, Rotary or otherwise, it's hard to become compelling or what have you for folks. And I don't know how to do that. But I know that it's a skill, and I think it's something that maybe we all need to learn a little bit more of, is how to have a simple message that can break through all the noise and reach a target audience of what's going on. Your idea of hooking up with churches there's a whole series of Ukrainian churches. There's a couple of them here in Pinellas County, one that's a couple miles from me that's near my sister's house, and they are boxing things up and shipping them over and, trying to do what they can. So maybe that's an opportunity. I don't know.
Troy, do you have the name of the church and the people that are doing that? And if you do, could you just maybe send it to Alicia or something, and then I'll know who to contact. Again,
Yeah.
This will not be through the Rotary Club, because I have to go through a whole bunch of hoops to do that again, and I don't want to do that.
And
yeah.
And the hoops you're talking about, was that about logos and such, or?
Yeah, the whole thing, like you had to have your name on it. I had to have the Punta Gorda. I had to have our club on it. And I think that kind of like didn't give the urgency to other clubs feeling like they were included. And I think
Yeah.
I wanted them to feel included, and they didn't get it. Now, I didn't have time, but what I should have done, or what I would have liked to have done, is somehow get all of us together to go and visit other clubs, take 10 minutes of our time and tell them what we're doing, what our mission is, and maybe do that. You know, if everybody from our club would go to another club or another club or another club, maybe that would have made a difference and we could have raised a lot more money, because there was great potential there, but it didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know whether it had a lot to do with the timing, and they're obviously still
Well,
every bit as much need today as they were a full year ago.
it happened. We were about to launch when the hurricane came. So everybody's attention was on the hurricane. So we had to kind of postpone the drive because of the hurricane. So it kind of fizzled out because of the hurricane. That was
Yeah.
one of the obstacles. Yeah.
Yeah, we had another activity that was planned around then that we folded up, just realizing that you can't do everything all at once, but I get it.
Yeah.
Real
I
note
just
for me.
wanted to give a quick shout out to Bertie. She spent an awful lot of time and effort, and you know, all these the logos, the formats had to go all the way to RI, and that was no small nut to crack. But she got that done, and I think her experiences, although not as rewarding as all of us would have liked, set a great stage for doing something similar and in the future. So Bertie, thanks so much, and I know that you worked hard, and the positive gain is that now we really know how to do this.
Yeah.
Well, remember, I'm getting up in age and that memory isn't so good. So if I had to go back to this again in 2 years, it's starting from ground zero again.
It's a good club to belong to.
There you go. Yeah, I think that there has been a little, maybe too much push about logo management. You know, I don't know. You had to get this shirt approved at RI?
Mhm.
Wow.
And every dot, every little thing had to be absolutely perfect, which was fine. And we got the logo and everything, but I didn't know where to start. So I got so many people. I was going all over the country, you know, trying to find out, talk to people in Chicago, and then somebody else. I think I even talked with you somewhere in the road and during this too, Troy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite a journey.
Yeah. I think there were ways to, you know, if you guys get ready to do one of these things again, we got to figure out how to streamline that, because there's got to be a much faster way. Actually, since you know what all the rules are on what the logo ought to look like, in theory, you shouldn't. I don't think you should have to ask if you already know you're following the rules.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see.
Or Bertie had emailed me, or actually, I guess, called me and said, you know, I want to do this t-shirt fundraiser, and I'm like, be prepared. It's going to take some time. And we didn't, not even, I mean, I didn't even know, Will didn't even know how long that this was going to take. And then, like I said, we got it. Lots of conversation with the three of us, and me, you know, Bertie and myself and Will, lots of conversation. And then, you know, we finally got it. And like Bertie said, then the hurricane hit.
Yeah,
it's like,
hurricane instead.
Yeah. Well, RI, and perhaps rightly so, is super protective of their brand and associated logos. I guess there have been some problems in the past, so I understand that. But you know, we probably lost a month just jumping through the hoops and wickets and getting that done. So
Yeah.
And the other thing about fundraisers too, as far as this goes, there's a limited amount of time that you can do this. I don't know if it's all fundraisers, but for the shirts, they told me 3 months. We went over it a little bit because James said, don't pay attention to that. But actually, whoever I spoke with up north in Chicago, they said, but we're not going to have, we're not going to have the spies out watching you. Basically, don't worry about it, but that's the rule. And I'm a rule person, so I was really nervous about going over the limit, but because of the hurricane, I felt comfortable doing it.
Oh, yeah, good point.
So,
We basically had an exemption from Rotary International that did not require us to be a certified Rotary vendor using that logo. And that was difficult for them to say yes to, I think. But in the final analysis, they said, yeah, go ahead and do this. We'll give you 60, 90 days. And the question was, well, what if we need more time? And the answer was, well, we're not going to send the Rotary logo police after you.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And then, now that I'm thinking about it, you guys were doing something where the shirt was the fundraiser. The shirt had the logo on it. Different from like my club president needed to do a shirt for an event. He downloaded the logo off of the website off of Rotary International, put it on the shirt, and
Yeah.
club members had, all right, here's 20 club member shirts. We're going to do this work day. Now I'm thinking yours is different because you were selling the shirt. I get it. It's a different animal. That's why, that's why it took so many
yeah.
convoluted.
And we were not a certified Rotary vendor. We had an
Right,
exemption. for that.
exactly. That's the thing. You have to be a certified vendor.
so, and I see that Andy Hammond has his shirt on.
Oh yeah. You guys sent me a logo for that. I remember one of you all emailed that to me, and I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it was beautiful shirt. So
It was still
Anyway,
good to
well-
participate. Unfortunately, there was a little bit steeper learning curve on that one, but still great to participate in anything
Well-
to help out in Ukraine.
it was. I mean, like I said, the E Club is not known for its fundraisers. We asked our club members for a little extra monies, because we don't normally have fundraisers. I think what Bertie did was phenomenal. I'm so glad and honored that she's in our club. And she came into our club via Will when he had his heart attack. She was his cardiac nurse.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, we're just, it's been a blessing. I mean, it's been really cool. Learning curve and everything.
Okay, so I'm going to say something about this because it's funny and we have fun here, right? So every time Will comes into cardiac rehab, we have to put our monitors on and they have to wear the little patches. I don't know, I'm sure many of you know about the patches you have to have to be able to monitor. He wouldn't let any of us take it off because he wanted to go home and let his wife rip it off of him.
That was her entertainment.
Oh,
Yeah,
bad.
that was entertainment. That was fun. One little ditty.
Well, Troy, while we've got you here, I'd like to ask you one question, which is really specific to the E Club, but not necessarily to the district. We have some very great training here, but has the district or will the district consider having virtual training or having a virtual component to the training that we do? There may come a time when our president or other members are in some far-flung place. Not that we don't have some now, but I'm sure that some people in the district, for good reasons, miss some of the training. And have you thought about that?
Yeah. If let's say your next president was in, Jacksonville or Ormond Beach or wherever it was, you don't have that situation now, but they say next year that was the case. You get with Derek early, say, hey, our president-elect doesn't even live in Florida, doesn't even live in the United States.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough information on the Rotary International Learning Center that you kind of do okay, well, then they need to do this stuff on the Rotary International Learning Center and then have a meeting with, for example, Derek or Becky or whoever the governor-elect is at the time. I know what Chris is really trying to do the live thing this year because, in particular, is because we're trying to build a lot of camaraderie and community and come out of COVID stronger than when we went in. But yeah, your club, it's just coincidence that you've had a couple of presidents in a row that are within driving distance of training is the reality.
Right.
You could have anything anywhere. And that would be the answer is Rotary Learning Center. And I did all those for the governor-elect and district governor and a couple different things. And they're all pretty short. They're like 10 or 15-minute things.
Mhm.
And what I did was do one per night. I get done with my work. I do a 10 or 15-minute learning center thing, bing, bing, bing. And I did one at a time until I was done with them. It isn't that big of a deal. And it's actually some pretty interesting information.
Yeah. Well, our members come from as many as 20 districts and have been on 4 continents. So
yeah,
that's not your average Rotary Club.
Yeah, well, and a lot of our members, you know, even me, for example, you know, I missed last year's pets because I had to be up in Ohio because I had a family emergency.
right.
So, you know, there's the pre-pets or your what we call district training 1. Then there's the next one that's coming in April. And there's so everything, you know, online, the learning center, that could be for RI, but what about the district centered?
Oh, oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I was trying to find a workaround just there, but yeah, the reality is it would be nice to have, you know, we did a little like Zoom in November, I think it was,
Yeah,
but that was
I
really
think
just kind of a kickoff.
yes.
It also set an example, it set a deadline for clubs to, like, seriously, you need a president-elect by now, because there's always a couple that don't have one by the time November comes around. And no, you really do. Yeah, there ought to be, you know, you're right, there ought to be more of that.
Well, we have friends that are in an E-club up in Central Ohio.
Yeah,
And one of them is a past district governor, he and his wife. And we were talking with them, about a month ago, and they said everything in their district now has an online component. All the training has an online component. And we definitely understand the face-to-face, and we would like that as much as we can get. I think right now we have, 5 members that live in our district proper that we could, you know, get together with. We have a couple that are over the Bay in Tampa.
Liz is on the other side of the bridge.
Liz and Suzanne Nielsen, and so they're in Tampa, and that's fine. We can still, a handful of us can still get together, but we, you know,
the format, they're incongruous, or there's a better word for it, but
yeah. Well, this district up in Ohio, like I said, they have that online component to all their training, and I think it's really important. When you and I were talking a little bit earlier, there's over 43,000 Rotary clubs in the world, and less than 500 of them are E-clubs. And so I know our club is kind of a minority. We're a small group, but we're important, because if it wasn't for our E-club, we wouldn't have, you know, we have 5 past district governors in our club. And if it wasn't for and we have an author that spends a lot of her time in Iceland. It's a club member. So, you know, if it wasn't for our club, these people wouldn't be still in Rotary.
right. Well, and there's so much potential to continue to expand it, to including Dick Schultz, who just is unfortunately quite homebound and can't find his way to breakfast on whatever morning of the week, Tuesday mornings or whatever it is. Well, and I think I asked you the question, but I don't think any of us could figure it out. How many of the E-clubs, you know, if 1%-ish of the world's clubs are E-clubs, how many of those are English speaking? And, you know, is there a way to band the English speaking E-clubs together for a training thing? I don't know.
Well, and we
Good idea.
have talked with other, you know, E-clubs, other E-club members, and we just think it would be great to have at least a proponent of pets centered around E-clubs.
Yeah.
And we really, you know, a lot of it, well, we should have an E-clubs pets period. And I'm like, well, Yeah, but you're still part of a district. So, you know, there's got to be a balance, but we've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think it should be the case. And I know the year that I got to be governor here was kind of like, I don't know what's the right word, luring people back out of the house, you know, to start going to functions again. But now that that's level again, yeah, we need to address it because I don't know the answer though. But yeah, I know we talked about it, and I couldn't come up with an answer then either.
I just think honestly, if say, you know, for example, the district training, you know, the end of this month, you know, if there was somebody, you know, you rig up, have that online component. And so, I mean, Will and I are going to be there. Chris Malona will be there. But, you know, if one of us can't make it, if I have to run up to, you know, because I'm going to be club secretary, Will's going to stay on as membership chair. But if I have to go up again to Ohio and I can't make the meeting.
All right. It is what it
You know,
is.
I don't really, I understand, but you know, being a part of an e-club, it's like you have to be here or else you don't, you know, get this credit. Like Vince Cataro, who's our foundation chair, you know, if he didn't make it to PETS 1 or, you know, the first district training, you know, then, you know, you can't do the foundation. Well, he couldn't make it. He's down in Cape Coral. They just, you know, he's a city planner. He's still rebuilding from the hurricane. Right. He couldn't make it. So, you know,
You
it's
told
like
me about him. He is full time and a half down there trying to dig out of a hurricane.
Yeah. So it's just like,
but I think that after that they did one on Zoom to give the opportunity to all the people not able to be there physically to attend.
Yeah. So
but I fully agree. We need to think about having a kind of hybrid, you know, with all the technology where, you know, we can join remotely for some session, and then we can have a kind of breakout session for the people online, and then the people, you know, on site will have their own session. So that's something I think with the power of technology, we can think about something in the near future.
Yeah, Malona talks to Africa almost on a daily basis, do you not?
Well,
yeah,
you know,
people ask me how you do that. I say, well, we have the power of technology. We just need to use it.
If they get an internet connection, we can talk, no doubt.
That's right.
I did a bunch of this governor training stuff on Zoom, and I think intentionally they had some of the sessions were mixed languages and had captions at the bottom. And it was a little bit laborious and different sort of things, but it was kind of cool. Because, you know, people were talking in their own native language from, you know, Brazil or wherever, and
you select your language.
Yeah, and I was figuring it out. I think some of them had, you know, people translating on the fly, and then others were because Zoom has like an automatic closed caption thing that's pretty good. Not perfect, but not bad either.
And by the way, Malona, I think I got Tuesday's the 11th Zoom meeting set up for the international for the language. I'm
good.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
We'll see how it goes. But anyway, yeah.
You know, what I need to do is probably, you know, because Chris has already got the April event planned. I need to pick up the phone and call Derek, and then turn around and call Eric, who's the trainer for him, and just say that you need to do something because we are we're a unique enough district that we have an e-club, and we need to capitalize on it.
Definitely.
You know, that Hillsborough County doesn't need to figure that out because they don't have one, or I don't know, maybe they don't. I presume they don't.
They did. I don't know. Tampa has one. It's the E-Club of Florida, but I don't. Yeah, I met the PE 3 years ago, but they're unique in their own unique way, and that most of their members actually live in the area. They're just, you know, so they can actually, if they really had to, they can go to the functions.
Yeah, but I think you guys like the idea that people live in the area, but you also like the idea that people don't.
Yeah,
then somebody has to get up at 1:30 in the morning to be on on the meeting.
I know.
We during the Zoom era, we had a guy who was at the Coast Guard base, the furthest west Coast Guard base that faces essentially literally faces Russia, as one of our speakers, and he would talk about what it was like to go out and it's cold and Arctic, all this sort of thing. And I thought, how would you ever get a speaker like that? How many? He's not even in the same time zone with California. And he said, this is actually perfect because I woke up, it's middle of the night for him, wakes up really super early. And he says, this is perfect. This will end right before my kid wakes up. And so I get to do all this before he has got babies or whatever in the house. But, there really is so much potential to have. Well, and there's an older gentleman in our club who passed away at age 94, something like that. His daughter is a pastor in the UK. And so we were able to have her do a online service thing from there. There's so much interesting connection that can happen this way. And you guys, because you're not like what you're saying about Tampa, that's really just a conglomeration of people who, for whatever reason, aren't traveling to a live club with a meal or whatever. Yours is intentionally scattered.
We are truly international.
Yeah, that's the idea. And so
Yeah.
I really think that's, I keep thinking your thing needs to continue to boom. And then you're right, we need to do a little problem solving to make sure we're helping. I'll call Derek. I'll call him up sometime this week and chat and make sure he's figuring out some way to facilitate that.
That would be great. Because, we're here. We love Rotary and we love our club. And
Well, and you said there's an E-Club over there in Tampa. See, I'm pointing out the window like which direction I'm sitting. Sorry. In Tampa, though, if there's an E-Club there, maybe there's an opportunity to do something synergistically, because I know the guy who's about to be governor there. So maybe there's a way to do a little synergistic thing and to have a training thing with them just to provide more input.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah.
And if yours are the only two clubs in Florida, and you're Florida and elsewhere, but
right.
maybe that's just enough to say, okay, well, we're gonna do some kind of special thing with the E-Clubs that have a significant number of members in Florida.
Yeah, it's definitely a thought. Yeah. Keep on thinking.
And I also keep thinking that if we could get a couple more English-speaking clubs together, only because then we don't have the language, the additional language hurdle. There's strategies for y'all that are different from your local everyday club. Your local everyday club, we're going to have the Chamber of Commerce president. Don't you want, an opportunity to ask the mayor, the Chamber of Commerce president, whoever, a question? Well, if it's not your community, you don't care. So it's a very different approach. And fundraisers, we're all getting together to do this run, like Vernon's club does a run on Indian Rocks Beach, which is really a great venue and a great run and everything else. Well, the rest of us, would have to. Some of y'all would have to take international flights to get there to do the run. So, but you got to look at the unique things and capitalize on them. And we owe you guys to figure that out. I don't know the answer, but it's not all that hard to begin to provide you guys with some of the stuff you need.
Yeah.
But I don't know the answer, but
we'll work on it.
Yeah, I'm going to chat with Derek about it this week.
Okay.
Great.
When I'm driving around, just say, hey, we need to do something. Maybe it's with Tampa, and just to put more people in the room. So if you're going to invent something, invent it for more people. Well, and we'd also get their trainer to work on it too. So we put both of our trainers on it.
Roy?
Sir.
Hi, it's Andrew. I have a question. I know I've asked this to PDG Will, our favorite Will, in the past, but is there a still talk, or is Rotary working more in doing RLI online, having more presence online instead of on ground and so forth? Is that something that we'll see more of? Just like we were talking in the last things that you were talking about, more online presence.
Well, I think there's a lot more opportunity. You know, I kept thinking RLI is an opportunity for me to meet people that are in the district, but my club president said, no, I'm going to do RLI online. I mean, he did some of it during COVID and then some of it more recently. And he said he liked it a whole lot better. He said, if you start at the 1.1 level or whatever you call it and work your way through, he says, you actually, if you're just kind of making progress at a regular state, you're in the room with the same, not all the same people, but like half of them are people that you've been in a room before. And so you build a relationship over time with them. And he really liked it. And he said, oh, you know, I don't know that I really want to get up at dark 30 and drive an hour and a half up to an RLI thing. But he said, I'll do these things, you know, just one at a time every so many weeks for a long time. He said he really enjoyed them.
That's what, Malona, that's what
still
you
do
did, wasn't it? Malona,
Sorry? What did you
that's
say?
what you did with RLI? You're doing it all online.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's great. You know, you go at your own pace. The only thing you miss is through that going to pets, you know, you can meet people. So there is a connection with people, which was amazing. I would say I really enjoyed it. But I think it's important to have both options because you might be in the situation where you cannot go. And I would say if you can't make it, you just miss it. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
but
I finished. I'm sorry, I
Doug
finished up
said
my.
that was his preference, though. He said,
Yeah.
I like the online better. I've done both. I like the online better.
Yeah, I'd like to see the graduate, you know, classes online. I haven't seen any of those. I actually did my third session down in 6960, which was, you know, it was kind of fun. It gave us a road trip. But I would like to see, you know, more graduate classes so that maybe, you know, on down the line, maybe I could be an instructor. I mean, that would be kind of, you know, something, but
But
I'm glad to
that would be fun. To be an instructor would be fun.
yeah.
I'm glad to see the as many classes that there are online. So
Oh yeah, there is a lot.
yeah,
There is a lot.
Is
and
there?
how it's broken down. Yeah,
But they don't have any graduate ones online, is the idea?
not that I found yet.
Instructor level.
Yeah,
We could ask Jamie, who produces our live ones. She would know,
yeah.
or she could find the answer, one or the other.
Okay. Anyway,
Mhm.
cool. Anything else? We have. This has been a good meeting. We have a couple of minutes left. If anybody else has any more questions, comments.
This is Andy. Can you tell us, I see there's a district conference scheduled in May. Is it at Saddlebrook?
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, what I did was I moved, you know, a lot of times we have an awards, separate awards activity in June. And I got to look into that and thought, you know, why are we ramping up for two activities within, you know, 5 or 6 weeks of each other? And so we're going to put the two together. And the idea is we're going to start on Friday morning and have kind of like club program length presentations from, for example, Mark Middleton and a couple of those guys did the Honduras water project. They're going to talk about that project, partly just to report on what we have done, but partly to say, if you're a club that wants to participate in one of these or create something like that, ask me later, kind of a thing. And then let's see what else. There's so the water project. Charlotte's got a project where she's teaching mothers in Sierra Leone how to avoid infant mortality. The babies, they just had a real bad problem with babies dying, and so she's doing the program over there. So one little snippet at a time, one project. I think Erica Hardison's going to talk about the Sing Out and Read program that's going on here. Derek and Chris are going to talk about what we did for disaster response down in Fort Myers Beach in that area, and talk a little bit about how we can prepare, because you never know. One day it's going to be us,
Yeah.
Some other day, it'll be the Panhandle, it'll be South Florida again, it'll be Miami. Miami has a better sense of preparedness, but of course, when they get hit with the hurricane, they get whooped too. So, yeah, really bad. But so a lot of it is stuff that's going, it's all stuff that's going on in our district. The Wesley Chapel Club is building a survivors of human trafficking home. When these girls get rescued out of these really awful situations, typically they don't read hardly at all. They don't know how to survive, in the world around them. And so they have a home with 4, 6, or 8 girls in there, and they do almost daily counseling. They make sure they're fed. They're teaching them literacy skills and working them back into having pretty normal lives. And so Allison, who's the president-elect of that club, is going to speak alongside some expert on that. So it's like projects that are happening in our district, short presentations, pretty much rapid fire, and then at the meals we'll do awards where we acknowledge the clubs are the greatest venue for breakfast or fastest growing Alicia, were you at the thing in January when Eric was talking about this club in Atlanta, and that was their best breakfast in Atlanta, was their kind of claim to fame? And they
I just that.
well, they had the intention. They had a really great breakfast at this club, and they said, we're going to make sure we get the best breakfast anybody could have. Bring a friend. And that was the way they got people to well, this is the best really best breakfast. I gotta go. And they just grew rapidly because they had an identity. A couple of clubs, that's why I was just making that one up. Couple of clubs have grown. The Bel Air Club, for example, really small club. They had like 3 or 4 people to their 11. So they have as a percentage, they've grown a ton. So, just trying to give awards for people who have worked hard at either growing or doing a service project or actually the St. Pete Sunset Club meets at the museum, which is a almost completely glass room with a replica of the original biplane that flew back and forth from St. Pete to Tampa, the birthplace of scheduled aviation. They must have the most beautiful venue I ever saw. And they're right next door to a pub, so you can get a draft beer and then you can go sit down and be in your meeting. So, so they're a great bunch of folks.
Cool.
So yeah, so you will have all that mixed together at the thing. It'll be great to get there Thursday night so you can unwind, but then it'll be rapid fire Friday all day and Saturday all day.
Okay.
Coming in early gives you an opportunity to do spa and golf and pool and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's an opportunity to go over early on Thursday and just enjoy it, just chill for a while.
I do spa and get some more acupuncture. Did that on the ship. Will and I just got back from
Well, you guys are cruising for anniversary number 5.
Yes.
Mhm.
Got back and I pinched a sciatic nerve 2 days prior to the cruise, and we found out that our ship has a 3rd generation acupuncture doctor on board, and she did, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So it's not just all drinking and gambling and eating fatty foods.
No, actually, we were really. I drank, but we were pretty good. It was do it again.
If we're sharing anniversary stories, today happens to be Renee and my 50th.
Wow.
Oh my gosh! Yay!
That's really cool.
Congratulations!
Oh, good.
Wow! And here you are in a meeting.
Yeah, well, we went and I bought her a gold bracelet this morning, so
There you go.
Mm.
Very nice. Very
it's
nice.
50.
Wow.
Wow,
Alicia, put that on our webpage.
that's right.
Good. I should. Andy said send me a picture of the 2 of you, and I would be more than happy to.
I'll see.
At our meeting. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we have fulfilled our time. If there is nothing else for the good of the club, or any questions for Mr. Troy, we can end our meeting with the things that Rotarians say, do, think. Is it the truth?
The
Is
truth,
it
it's fair to all
Fair to all
concerned.
concerned.
Will it build
Build
goodwill
and better
Better
friendships.
friendships?
Yep.
Will it be
Will it be
beneficial?
beneficial to all concerned?
And is it fun?
Is it fun?
And
Yes.
we better be able to make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, and then
Thank-
that's another thing that's another joy of being always doing a Zoom meeting where we don't sync, but we still have fun.
Oh, there is a club that sings every week. They're up in Citrus County.
Oh, boy.
And they actually, it works out pretty well. But if you've ever tried to sing on Zoom,
Oh,
don't.
No.
it doesn't work.
That is absolutely the most awful. It changes the pitch. It changes the timing. It
It's
is
horrible.
it
Don't
is-
do it.
Don't go there. No.
So is it fun? And we're not going to sing. Would be the
Yep, there you go. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Chuck.
Governor Troy.